Hi, my name is Danny with Abolish Abortion, California. If you'll see our petition, if you read our petition, you know that our law, the amendment to our state constitution, will not allow for abortion in the cases of rape or incest or the life of the mother. There are no exceptions to abortion. I want to explain why that is. In this video, I plan to cover rape. The cases of rape and incest, first understand that rape and incest are wrong. They're evil things that one person does to another person. And abortion is wrong, and it's wrong for the same reason. It is when one person takes advantage of another person violently and against their will. So understand that the wrong that you see in rape, that I see in rape, is the same reason that abortion itself is wrong. The same principle there. Now, we use on the street or in our literature, we have pamphlets that go through this. Also, what about abortion in the case of rape? It's something we have to tackle because for 43 years, we've been told that it's somehow acceptable to allow for children conceived in rape and incest to be murdered. People say, well, it's only 1% of abortions that happen for the cases of rape. And they think somehow that it's okay to allow for the murder of those children, and all they work for is to save the other 99% of the babies killed through abortion. The truth is, allowing abortion in the case of the 1% is what opens the door to be able to murder the other 99% of children that are murdered just because someone wants to. So when a woman is raped and the child is conceived and we say, well, it's okay to murder that human being, we have opened up the door to making murder subjective. Subjective means it's up to your opinion whether or not a person can be murdered. And so rape truly and incest is truly a way to justify all abortions. Now here we point out very simply and quickly and easily that it is subjective. We ask the question, which one of these human beings was conceived in rape? The bottom says, and which one does not deserve to live? It shows two ultrasounds of two babies, one conceived in rape and one not. Can you tell which one was conceived in rape? It's showing obviously that you cannot tell because a human being is a human being. We are all created in God's image, and God says that children shall not be punished for the sins of the father. So a father that raped a woman and conceived a child, he has two victims. One is the mother, the other is the child. The child is as much a victim as the woman. They didn't do anything, and now they've been put into the world, and likely they're fatherless. What a huge disadvantage for that person. They may have a mother that feels regret over the situation and having them. What a huge disadvantage to come into the world. And to top it off, our society says, well, since that child came into the world through their father's rape, you can go ahead and murder that child. What a terrible situation that child has come into the world. What we should be doing is loving that child. What we should be doing is loving the woman. So this argument really shatters the idea that we should allow abortion in the case of rape and incest by displaying that the human being conceived in that event, that child is a human being and deserves all the rights that all the rest of us have. They're not any more responsible for what their father did than the woman is or than society is. We have a duty to love that child. So logically we can look at this and we see it's a human being, but many people use the case of rape and incest to make an emotional argument. They say, well, the mother would suffer every time she looked at the child. She would remember the rapist. The first thing it's important to point out is that the child is the rapist's child, but it's also the mother's child. It's not just the rapist's child, it's the mother's child as well. When a woman kills her child that was conceived in rape, she is killing the rapist's child, and she's killing her child also. Now, there is emotional wounds. Anyone that's been sexually abused, or if you talk to someone that's been sexually abused, understands that the abuse The physical abuse is really a small part of the abuse that took place. The big part is the emotional abuse. Remembering that that event happened, asking, what does that event say about me? Why did that person do that to me? Why was I selected? What happened? Does God love me? How could God let this happen? All of those are emotional questions that the abusee has to deal with after the abuse. They have to live with that constantly as a reminder. Now, some people say, okay, well, since they have to live with that as a reminder, we don't want to add to it by letting the person, the baby that was conceived, live, because wouldn't that more add to her pain? The truth is, all that murdering the child does is add more emotional abuse to the woman. Sure, she may be scared, she may be frustrated, she may be angry, and she may be taking that out on her child at the time. That's all possible. But if we as a society applaud her and say it's okay to go ahead and murder that child, we're allowing her to add to the emotional abuse she's already been through. She's going to have to deal with not only being the victim of a crime, but now she is going out and committing the same type of offense to her preborn child. And that's going to add to the emotional abuse that she's already incurring, only this time it is her responsibility. She is the one committing the act of aggression. She's actually becoming the abuser in that situation. So we absolutely should not, it's not emotionally good or sound to agree with and allow a woman to have an abortion if she's been raped. We're adding to her injury. The last point I want to bring up is something that lots of people do not realize, and they don't think about it. They're so caught up in this emotional situation, the horror of rape or sexual abuse, that they're caught up in that they aren't thinking about the whole picture. The truth is that rape, that abortion helps the rapist. It helps the father that is raping his daughter. Pimps, sex traffickers, they love the abortion pill being available. I bet they're constant buyers of the abortion pill so they could keep their girls turning tricks, making them money. They don't want their girls to get pregnant and have to care for them. They want to keep them under abuse and keep them working in the sex trade. And so sex traffickers, those that commit rape, the reason rape is not an offense that is more fought against in our culture is because instead of holding these men accountable for raping the women, we're murdering the child and acting like, well, it didn't happen. And there's no real reason to go after the father who has committed this crime. The woman wants to forget about it. She murders her child, and this man gets off. And the pain of going through that for her is not something she wants to go through. So it's great for the guys that rape women because they don't have to be responsible. Whereas if the child was born, they would have to be responsible for this child. They could be identified to the child, and they could be held accountable for their actions. So there's a book out by Anna Ritchie called I Am the Exception. And in that book, Anna details the account of her being raped by her father from a very early age. Anna was abused sexually for a long period of time by her father, I believe her stepfather, and she got pregnant. And what did the father do? He went and got her an abortion. Why? So that he could continue to sexually abuse her. Now finally Anna got pregnant again in this incestual relationship where the father is abusing her. And this time she said, I am not going to murder my child again. And she went to the authorities and she confessed to protect her child. The father was found out, he was held responsible, and she had her child. And her quote is, I think in one of the cases she says that the child, this beautiful child that came out of this horrible situation, is the only thing good that came out of that situation. And she has much joy in her child because she didn't kill her child. And she has regret over the child she did kill. So I want to tell you that abortion in the case of rape and incest is a horrible crime. It is equal to the crime of rape and incest, only the person that's the victim, the preborn child, cannot recover. They're murdered and they're taken out. They have no chances to recover. They have no chances to live. This is a huge crime and we cannot accept it. It cannot be an exception. So as I said at the beginning, if we allow the murder of a human being for a reason, we're going to be allowing it for many reasons. So I hope that you consider the arguments that we're making. I hope that you consider changing your position. If you think that it's okay to murder a child in the cases of rape and incest, I hope that you change your position. I hope that you consider it in light of God's truth, in light of the reality we live in light of what it's doing, not only to the preborn, but also to the victims of rape and incest. So thank you for watching, and I pray you consider that, and I pray you stand up to end abortion in our nation and understand there can be no exceptions. We cannot murder human beings that are created in God's image, especially when it is their father who is the criminal. So God be with you, and have a wonderful day.